Hi Aquarius, welcome to your September 2025 astrology forecast. So September 1st, we are in Virgo season with the sun traveling through Virgo in your 8th house. So you may be dealing with some sort of shared finances, investments, or anything related to external funding. You are going to have a lot more energy enter this area of your life, and we'll take a closer look at that, because the solar and the lunar eclipses are both involving Virgo energy. There's just going to be a lot more energy and focus in this area of your life. We also have Pluto traveling through your first house. It is retrograde in Aquarius, so you may have a lot of past memories, experiences coming back up to kind of remind you of where you've been, and also where you're heading towards. Pluto in the first house is that metamorphosis energy. It's really trying to, slowly but surely transform you, your identity, how you see yourself, but also how you show up in the world. So this energy is huge, especially with Uranus in your 5th house. Currently, Uranus and Pluto are trying to one another, and they will be supporting one another in this harmonious aspect for the next few months. So there's a lot of energy of like sudden change, sudden desire for liberation, freedom, maybe even this pull towards creativity. You may be getting a lot of ideas about how you may want to, develop hobbies or express yourself in a creative manner with Uranus in your 5th house. Now, Saturn and Neptune have been traveling through your 3rd house. This month, though, on the 1st, Saturn did retrograde back into Pisces, bringing in a shift of energy. Saturn likes being in Pisces a lot more than it likes being in Aries. Aries is it's fall, so there's a bit of frustration, tension-driven energy related to how Saturn functions and what it wants to accomplish in a Mars ruled sign like Aries. But what makes it a little bit easier this month when Saturn is in Pisces is that the fact that Saturn is conjunct to Neptune, and in modern astrology, Neptune rules Pisces. So there's just a bit of ease of communication and connection between Saturn and Neptune. They're just more on a same page. They're coming from a place that is a bit more intuitive, emotional, and it looks like it's all related to this area of your 3rd house, which is related to communication, local travel, media, siblings, neighbors, cousins, any sort of immediate environments, but also education as well. Yeah, so with Pluto trine Uranus, they're also sextile to Neptune and Saturn, which means that whatever it is that Pluto is trying to transform in your life, it's kind of doing it through the Saturn-Neptune energy. And it may be difficult to define or put your finger on exactly what it is or what direction you want to move towards, but there is a lot of inspiration and ideas. Possibly, you're looking around and watching people that are close to you or your environment, and kind of picking up ideas as to, this person is doing that, that person is doing this, and just kind of like where you fit in and what you can offer. Now, I am getting some sort of message related to like creative self-expression, related to communication. So I don't know, maybe you are thinking of ways to show up in your smaller communities in a way where you can just kind of communicate with them and express yourself, possibly related to, social media platforms or podcasts, because all that is related to the 3rd house energy. Okay. And we also have Venus traveling through Leo in your 7th house. So Venus is kind of bringing a sense of good timing and good people, especially related to one-on-one relationships and romantic connections as well. So you may have opportunities to meet new people, or just your existing relationships. There's a lot more peace, harmony, and a sense of good time. You might, be falling in love. That is a very traditional interpretation of Venus in seventh. But it kind of just shows, in a sense, meeting the right type of people at the right time. So let's move to our first eclipse, which is the lunar eclipse happening between your second and eighth houses. And this is on September 7th, when the moon is meeting up with the North Node in Pisces, opposing the sun in Virgo, which is aligning with the South Node in Virgo. So there's some sort of ending or release of shared finances, or some sort of shared financial resources. I'm getting a message of like a separation that's kind of causing a divide between like my money versus your money, that sort of energy. But in a general, an overall sense, the Virgo sun with the South Node is asking you to sacrifice something or let go of something related to either like fear of intimacy, or any ideas or preconceptions related to shared money and shared resources. So you may have to, it can be a loss of some sort of investment or opportunity for external funding that goes away. But the focus is really asking you to bring your attention to your personal finances over money that's related to or coming from someone else. The moon and the North Node in your second house is kind of bringing up a message of needing to rely on yourself, self-sufficiency, and trusting or having faith in your own ability to make money, as well as to create something that is sustainable for you. And then the second eclipse is a solar eclipse, which falls on September 21st. This is when the moon travels all the way and meets up with the sun in Virgo. Moon and sun are meeting up at the last degree of Virgo at 29 degrees, and they're aligning with the South Node. So there is this big energy of new beginnings, but that new beginning kind of comes from a disconnect or a separation of some sort of committed or shared resources. So I don't know if you're going through some sort of separation, which is kind of, opposite of what I said with Venus traveling through your seventh house. But it is possible that, you are going through a separation and there are new love interests entering your life, or new possibilities. Because Venus in Leo is this very energetic, outgoing, extroverted energy that's kind of like grabbing attention of other people. But when the solar eclipse happens, the Venus is actually, it has entered Virgo, traveling through your eighth house. And now I'm also thinking that, it is a possibility of kind of like saying goodbye to an existing relationship, separating existing shared resources, and having to rely on yourself. So that sort of change is what I am seeing for you. And this would kind of align with Uranus in your fifth house, which does talk about this newfound sense of freedom and independence, especially in romantic sphere. And then, of course, with Pluto traveling through your first house, it makes sense that you are kind of going through this big transformation of your identity. Interesting. And then the next day, we do have the Sun, Mercury, and Moon traveling in Libra, and this is happening in your ninth house. So there's opportunities to expand your horizons, possible traveling opportunities also exist. Libra is also about relationships, which can bring in like a foreign love interest or a love connection that is overseas or somehow connected to like another culture, another background. On this day, we also have Mars traveling through Scorpio in your 10th house. Mars was in Libra last month where it was a bit frustrated. There was a sense of distilled momentum. Mars couldn't really act according to its nature. It was being pulled in an opposite direction than where it wanted to go towards. But once Mars enters Scorpio, it is, you know, in its own sign. There's just kind of a sense of like sigh of relief. It feels like alignment, coming home and feeling comfortable in your own skin. And this Mars energy is actually very prominent because the 10th house is a very visible, active energy. So you're going to have a lot of extra physical momentum. Your drive and ambition are going to go up. And this can all be related to your career or public reputation. There's just this hunger now that kind of pushes you forward, especially with this Mars in a square aspect to Pluto. It brings in this direction and change, momentum related to your career and identity. You almost feel hungry for something related to these areas of your life. We also have Jupiter in Cancer traveling through your 6th house still, and this can bring in an energy of kind of like ease of flow in your daily routines, tasks, everyday work-related tasks just running smoothly. It can even also talk about potential for good mentors. So if you need any sort of assistance, anything, you know, related to someone who advises you or guides you, it can be spiritual, religious, life coaching, that sort of help, support is available if you do need that. The 6th house, you know, is also a house of like uncles, role models. So it can represent, especially with Jupiter, it can represent someone who can guide you towards the right direction. I think that's all the messages I have for you for September, Aquarius. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in October. Bye.